Hey there, Doodle lover. Are you ready to finally feel proud of your Doodle's behavior? Not just their adorable face? Then don't miss my free 10-day Doodle Parent Challenge starting September 5th. It's the training reset you've been craving. Live, science-backed, and built just for Doodle parents like you. Head to thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge to save your free spot now. That's thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge. I'll see you inside. Doodles are often described as picked on at dog parks or daycares, and some dogs just don't seem to get them or communicate with them as easily as some other dogs. Trainer Emily Martin and I are going to dive into why that is and how we can better interpret our Doodle's body language as well. Doodle breed dogs are easy to love, but can be challenging to parent. I'm Doodle expert Corinne Gearhart, also known as the Doodle Pro, and I'm here to help Doodle parents have a more fulfilling and rewarding experience with their Doodles. No one has professionally worked with as many different Doodle breeds or has more experience with Doodles than I have. And I love to share my expertise in a fun, compassionate, and non-judgmental way. From my years of work and education in the pet care and dog training industry, I have an incredible network of skilled training, grooming, and veterinary professionals to share their knowledge with you and give you the Doodle-specific answers you're looking for. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as I help you parent your Doodle like a pro. Congratulations to Lauren in Cleveland, Ohio, for your Doodle Crosby winning Doodle of the Week. Enjoy listening to Crosby's mom explain why he's so deserving.
My name is Lauren. My Doodle's name is Crosby, and he's a golden Doodle. He's currently 16 weeks old. We recently rescued him. He's awesome. We're still learning a lot of training, but his awesome, most funniest thing is he just loves to lay on his back and just sprawl his legs out completely. I hear that's a Doodle thing a lot. We also have an Italian Greyhound Chihuahua, and Crosby likes to jump on top of him all the time and just like pounce and prance on him and get Mo to get a reaction and play with him. So the interaction between both of them is really great. They have a lot of fun with each other, which is awesome. And Crosby brings a lot of energy to Mo because Mo is about 11 years old, so he enjoys it. I'm so excited to have Crosby in my family, and I hope you pick him for Doodle of the Week. Thank you so much.
Do you have the most special Doodle around? Nominate them for Doodle of the Week. Visit thedoodlepro.com/Doodle of the Week and send me a quick voice message telling me why they're so special. I'm so happy to welcome back the guest who was on one of our most popular episodes of the Doodle Pro podcast, Emily Martin, owner and head trainer for Positively Pets in Denver, Colorado. You might have heard Emily and I chat on an earlier episode where we talk about how to stop doodle jumping. Emily and I joined forces again to talk about how to read your dog's body language and what makes reading Doodle's body language so different. We have such a good time together. I couldn't trim all of the fun and put it into just one episode. So this interview is going to be divided in two parts. Enjoy part one today, and next week you can enjoy the second half of Emily and my discussion about reading your Doodle's body language. I'm going to share a quiz that Emily and I have worked on. So if you think that you know how to read your dog's body language, you could take this quiz before listening to this episode. And then by the end of the interview, feel free to take it again and see how much did you really know and test your knowledge on decoding your dog's body language. Thank you for joining us, Emily.
Hi. Oh, I've got my friend joining us too. Takani.
Yeah, is that Moosh?
This is Takani.
Oh, I love. Tell us a little bit about Takani.
She likes to talk a lot. Yes. She's a good body language dog. We'll definitely be talking about my love for northern breeds and how they're one that speak very differently, actually. And some love it. And some people are like crazy for owning them.
And they literally do with their vocalizations too, right?
100%.
Yes.
Absolutely.
In specializing with Doodles, I don't get to work with northern breeds too much. They are a cross that people don't do very often. So, Emily, I loved talking with you in our last interview about your background. And when I was recently at the San Diego Zoo with my kids, I was texting you, thinking about you. So, I love your background working in zoos. Can you share with our listeners some of the animals and species that you used to work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I get a lot of questions about my background, and even another trainer and I were talking the other day, and she was like, "I reread your bio, and like I forgot you were also a dog musher." So it's always good to learn and share. So I worked with a variety of species. I've worked with, I think it's like my count's like 120 different species.
Awesome.
So talk about body language across species. It's a
Yes.
lot. I definitely focused a lot in primates and specifically with New World primates. So like capuchins and spider monkeys and squirrel monkeys, like the smaller base versus the great apes of orangs and chimps and bonobos, which that's a whole nother topic to talk about body language and like teaching them how to really speak. And then I also worked with a variety of animals for educational purposes. So animals that went out and did shows and programs. And that was everything from cockroaches, spiders, rats, birds. One of my very first jobs, I was doing shows with a tarantula, a scorpion, and a cockroach. And I had to do like a whole show about it.
I'm
And
from
then
Florida, so those are my phobias. They're too plentiful there.
worked with a lot of reptiles and mammals as far as like porcupines and anteaters and then birds of prey. And it is really cool to learn about the body language. And a little personal story to bring it back around is I was very fearful of snakes, and I still am pretty kind of a baby with snakes. But I've had to work with them throughout my career and learn to get to know them and read their body language. And it wasn't until I was really in the core of my exotic animal training degree that I was like, this is why I struggle with snakes. And I think a lot of people, this is maybe some of their fear, is their body language is so hard to read and so unique because they don't have eyelids.
Oh,
Yeah. Tell if they're sleeping awake or awake just to start with. So if you open there and close, you're like, are they sleeping? So if I startle them, that's an expected response back to get if somebody starts to feel when I sleep. But you can't tell with the snake.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. When people are struggling with training their doodles, I found it so reassuring that you've worked with all these different species. And now that you specialize in pet training, that you validated sometimes our doodles are harder. Can you explain that a little for our listeners?
Yeah, and I often say that because I know what to expect of like, I worked with mountain lions quite a bit too. So if I were to do something or they're having a hard day, like I know what that natural instinct is for a large cat or a primate. But with our dogs, we are shaping behavior every moment of the day. Yeah. We are reinforcing bad and good behavior all the time. So our dog's behavior is morphing and changing a lot more than what a wild animal were, say, that we don't have as much interaction with. And they have more natural instinct than our dogs do, per se. So I think that's what's harder. And I don't think owners think about that picture of, oh, yeah, like Takani right there, she jumped up on me and I pet her. Now, that's a behavior I allow.
Yes.
But that's something that I have reinforced. And that is, in her eyes, a natural behavior and gets reinforcement. So I'm shaping that behavior versus she jumps on you, you can't tell her off because that's an allowed behavior.
If we think about our expectations of our pets compared to the species that you were working with, we're not asking the mountain lion to go to the cafe and stay in a downstay while the waiter walks up and play with all these different animals all the time and be good with our cat and the hamster the kids bring home. And our expectations
for dogs are huge. Now, I will say some of the stuff I've done with exotics, they've had some really big expectations. I've traveled across the U.S. with animals. I've flown with a bald eagle and an alligator and all these animals that I've done shows. And there's been times where I have to also, we're talking about this with dogs, I have to be an advocate of, there was one this was a long time ago, a kangaroo, and there was a really big event and he was not feeling well. And I was like, no, he's not going to go do this show. Like, I am sorry, we're out. And they're just like, we're paying you, we're doing this and that. I'm like, no, it's for the better health of the animal. And he is telling me he is not comfortable or he is not ready. Same with like people petting them. Some of the work I did do, we do a lot of meet and greet.
Yeah.
And we have to look at those animals too and be like, can they handle this? Are they enjoying this? Are they trying to retreat? Then we need to actually advocate and help that. Even if it's just a skink, a prehensile tailed skink, like they have a harder time showing their no, but they're can show I'm not comfortable. And so again, looking across that big picture.
I think that's an excellent example for advocating because we feel social pressure when, especially with Doodles, we're walking around with what look like walking teddy bears and people are drawn to them like magnets. And there's a social, yes, of course. And there's a social pressure to say, sure, you can pet my dog and not check in with your dog first. Yes, you have a friendly dog who's not going to bite them today, probably, but still checking in. Do they want this interaction? Are they comfortable? Do they feel safe with this interaction? And you were literally flying across the country and getting paid to have this kangaroo in that scenario. And you still put the kibosh on it when you saw that wasn't going
My
to
boss
be
wasn't
good.
very happy with me about it, but I had to deal with those consequences, the opposite side of it. Yeah. And with dogs, I had a client recently say this to me, and it kind of, sometimes I love it when I get really vulnerability from my clients because sometimes when we're in the field, we know what to do, but we have to realize our clients. She said, I just thought part of dog ownership was always saying yes. So if somebody wants to pet my dog or another dog, I thought you just always were supposed to say yes. I was like, no.
That's the friendly thing to do.
Yeah. And I was like, absolutely not. There's things in life you don't like or people you don't want. If somebody is a big hugger and you're not comfortable with hugs, you're probably going to stop them. And we need to also help our dogs. They have feelings. And I think sometimes that can get overlooked to be like, it's a dog or this is what's normal. And you should love everybody. I'm like, I don't love everybody. I don't expect my dog to love everybody.
When I go to a cocktail hour, I have my certain friends that I am drawn to. And there are certain people that I can say, hey, and then I walk past just not because they're good or bad or I'm good or bad, but they're just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And dogs have the same feelings. They start as puppies, being really open and it's just like our little kids where they go to the playground and they can play with anybody. Once my kid's 13, he has more of an opinion as to who's his speed and who's his vibe.
Yep. And I joke that sometimes too, I've been interviewing some pet sitters and I'm like, my dogs will tell me who's right and who's wrong. I also trust their opinion a lot. And I trust their opinion a lot on, are they comfortable? And some of that's going to be by the human's body language. So this goes in twofold about learning our dog's body language, but also the humans having appropriate dog language to make your dog feel more comfortable. And I have two of my dogs they'll back away if you come over their head to pet. And so things like that, I always watch the human to see what they're going to do as well. And then of course, I try to instruct too. So I would say, here, give them a tree and then scratch under their chin like that. But after that, you can tell pretty quick who understands dog body language and who maybe needs a little bit to listen to this podcast.
And you see often with little kids, their parents will be like, come on, let's say hi to the puppy. And you'll see the apprehension in a child as they're pulling away. And so oftentimes it's a great time to say, do you want to see them do a trick? You toss them the cookie. And now everyone's comfortable because you've given that child a buffer as well. We keep talking about how we're going to talk about body language. Our topic today, what is the importance to you that you like to convey to your clients as to why we want to read their body language?
Oh, that's a big loaded question. I think that people need to learn how to speak dog. We are living with these wonderful four-legged friends every day. And if we aren't speaking their communication and having a trusted relationship back and forth, there's something missing there. Dog ownership has changed a lot over the past couple decades as well. I see, and I know this doesn't go against across the board because there are working dogs and farm dogs and things like that. But if you have your dog as part of your family member and in your home and have that relationship and bond, then we need to be speaking their language and we need to be listening to them and communicating with them fairly and honestly.
And it isn't something that you should expect to be intuitive or I should just be born knowing this. I love dogs, so of course I should speak their language. And you don't need some woo-woo whisperer like title. It's something that's studied and that you watch for, right? Like you really need to learn it.
And a lot of dog owners, especially new dog owners, so I see a variety of clients, but a lot of my dog owners that have never had a dog, or maybe they had a dog as a kid, but this is their first adult dog, they know some basics, but when you really get into it, especially with my reactivity clients, we teach a lot of body language when we have behavioral modification. And they're always like, oh my gosh, I never knew this. Wow, yeah, he's telling me so much that I was just missing. I was just watching his tail and his tail's happy, so he's happy. And things like that. You're not alone if you feel like, oh, I got this. And then you listen to this and you're like, oh, there is more. They speak with their eyes, their mouth, their nose, their hair, their tail, their stance. There's so many different body parts speak, and not all dogs speak the same as well. And so might have a dog that speaks more. We'll get more into this with their ears, one that's more with their tail, because not all dogs have tails, things like that too.
Yes.
So there's, like I said, you're not alone. I highly encourage everybody to learn a few little things. And I think we're going to have this in the show notes. A really simple book is Doggy Language.
I love it. And it's in multiple languages.
Is it? Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
It's by Lily Tran, Doggy Language. If you go to her website, Doggy Drawings, you can learn where you can buy. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Dogwise. It is every client I say, please get this book. And it is amazing how many bounce back to me and go, I've learned so much. And this book is great for all ages. It's good for kids. It's good for adults. It's not like a boring read. It's pictures and little descriptions. So please go out and buy this and let's all up our skills a little bit.
And it's a great book for before you even get your dog. If you are on a list for a litter and you're prepping and buying all the cute toys and stuff, it's something that you and your family can read together so that you're ready before your dog even comes home to watch for those cues. And if you're inclined to not want to have a dog that's barking and lunging on a leash, that's leash reactivity, or isn't growling or snapping, those are their louder, more vocal ways. They're bigger ways of trying to communicate to you. After all the body language, their quiet messages have been ignored. And if you can't read them, you can't listen before it's a big, loud show. And they're pushed that far.
Huskies. Unless they just love to talk. They start to talk.
Yes.
Yeah,
They just
I agree
vocalize.
with that. With reactivity or bite cases, sometimes I get, hey, there was no warnings at all. And there are those dogs out there. Don't get me wrong. There are some dogs that precursors have been eliminated. Sometimes they're eliminated due to them being punished. So they will hold them in. But we also want to pay attention to those precursors because sometimes they're very quick or they're very subtle. We also never want to punish precursors. So if our dog is growling or showing you a little bit of teeth, their lip, like those are all precursors that we need to pay attention to before we get to those louder, like you were mentioning, those louder body language signals.
Sit and stay right there. We'll be back right after this quick break. Hey, quick break, because I've got something just for you. If life with your doodle feels more chaotic than calm, you're not alone. But you don't have to do it alone either. I created the Doodle Parent Challenge to help you go from frustrated and confused to confident and connected in just 10 days. No force, no fear, just science-based tools that actually work for doodles. It's free. It starts September 5th, and I'll be there guiding you live. Head to thedoodlepro.com/parent challenge and grab your spot now. Let's make calm feel possible again. And if we punish those out, we've taken away their warning. And that's when you get, they bit me out of nowhere. Yes. So they're doing us a service by giving us, they've already probably shown us beforehand with more subtle cues before they get to the teeth and the growl. So we're talking about how different species have different sorts of body language. How do different breeds speak differently?
Yeah. So this is something to think about too. And definitely something to think about when maybe you're just starting to think about getting a dog as well. Doing some first research into the breed and understanding how they speak. I laugh because, again, I have loud dogs and I love it. But there's sometimes when I'm watching dogs or I've got clients and I'm like, this dog it doesn't talk. It talks. It just doesn't vocally talk. And I don't think I'm used to it. I've had Malamute Husky for 14 years and I love having conversations and sing-alongs.
Yeah.
That is not for everybody.
I never have that at my house, ever.
I love our sing-alongs. Jacoby thinks I'm a horrible singer, but that's okay. So first, researching breeds to kind of know, okay, I like a loud dog. I like I don't know, different things like that to understand. Boxers play differently than Doodles. I like a dog that's going to be more playful with their hands, things like that, their paws. But the biggest thing is how I explain this is all dogs speak body language. All dogs speak, but there's different routes they take. So if we look at like our languages, even English, we have American English, and then there's like proper English. I can understand proper English. There might be some words that I'm like, that's different. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
Or what are they referring to? Even in Australia, their English, they use some different words than we use. And we have to think about that. And that's the same for dogs. They all speak dog, but there's going to be some differences in the way that they speak and the way that they communicate.
And I remember taking my late standard poodle to a puppy class. And this was a while ago. That instructor didn't have a lot of experience with poodles and doodles then. So you can tell that was a while ago. And the poodle was really paws up, as they do. And as doodles do. And she was like, that is rude behavior that other dogs will not tolerate. You need to teach her that when she's playing, her paws stay on the ground. That to me is the different dialects.
Breed.
That's
the word I was looking for. Thank you.
No worries. But when you go to a huge dog park and you've got everyone speaking these different dialects of dog body language, some people will say my doodle gets picked on at the dog park. And to me, that's, well, threefold. One, I might be under socialized and not have polite behavior. Two, they might be playing differently. They might be speaking differently. And a lot of dogs don't like the bouncy paws up behavior. And then third, it's hard for other dogs to be able to see their language. It's harder to be able to read that. Do you agree with any of those as to what
I do? Absolutely. And I think like when we talk about doodles too, I think that's definitely the bouncy is a big characteristic. Bouncy, playful, kind of in your face. And then I also noticed, and not all doodle breeds, but doodles are also, a lot of them are very barky. And I don't think people think about that. Again, going back into our breed research, standard poodles are barky, chatty dogs. And so we get a lot of that too. And then when we look at playing, I always tell everybody, not all people get along. Not all dogs are going to get along, period. Like, it's just the way the world works. And again, I think people have a really hard time with that. They're like, they're dogs. I'm like, yeah, but like, we all have different play styles. We all have different hobbies. Same with our dogs. They have different activities and different agendas. A border collie is going to want to chase and nip versus the chihuahua that's just kind of, I'm just going to cruise and to get my sniffs or whatever it may be. So when we're looking at that, I think keeping that in mind, and dog parks, there's a lot going on there to be a really big topic. And I'm not hard one way or the other. We do go, and I know it's always a risk because dogs speak differently, and sometimes that can cause a rift. So it's something to keep in mind. My biggest thing when I'm looking at dog interaction and dog playing is I'm looking for a little bit of consent. If a doodle comes bounding at my oldest girl, Miara, which be honest, she's not a fan of Doodles. And I know that. She's never been a fan of Doodles. But I
And
know
she's
for a fact.
14, right?
She's 14. Yeah. Yeah.
So the energy
Yeah.
level, no matter what.
Now, especially now she tolerates it more because she's, I'm over it. So when she was young, she's just whatever. I don't even have time for you. But I know if a Doodle comes over to her and bounces and what are you doing? She does have the right to say, no, thank you. No, thank you appropriately. There's appropriate and inappropriate. And she can say, no, thank you appropriately. What I'm looking there for is, can the Doodle say, oh, okay, she gave me totally no, thank you, or body language, which body language in that case might look like dog comes up to Miara and Miara turns her head and looks away from the dog. Looks away, lowers her head, relaxes her body language, saying, no, thank you. I'm good all day. I'm going to look for that respect, and I want a communication to happen. And that's where some of the body language, those dialects are the same in that sense, that a dog should be able to understand a look away. A dog should be able to understand a head lowered, a relaxed body language, things like that.
That's a no thank you. It's a polite no thank you without needing to be more gruff or more curt.
I do have huskies that tend to use their voice sometimes either wick or first. So that's another a breed characteristic where like Miara cracks me up. 14, she still loves to play sometimes. And when she wants to play, she comes charging at you, go, wow. And it scares so many dogs. I'm like, that is how she plays. Like she is happy-go-lucky and she's telling you about it. But it's not reciprocated for a lot of breeds.
And it's the same with the Barky. I actually find them the most with the poodles more than the poodle mixes. But the Barky, I want to play with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do it right in their face with the come on. And that is really unpleasant for a lot of other dogs.
Yeah. So I look at for consent. So then if Miara said, hey, I do want to play, her body language is going to change. So if that Doodle comes up, now I know she's not going to play with Doodle, but let's pretend here. So if that Doodle comes up and Miara does want to play, what I'm going to look for in her body language back is maybe a play bow, or I call it a booty bump, where she spins and throws her booty towards the other dog.
Yeah.
Or a flirty look and say, hey, just see. I'm going to look for this totally different body language. And that's what we're looking for when we say we're at the dog park. Now, if the no thank you happens and I need to interject and help a little bit, I'm just going to call Miara off and call her back to me too. I don't always make a big deal of it, things like that. But you have pretty clear body language in there. Play bow, booty bump, a rotation in play. So rotation in chase or wrestling, things like that. Those are all dogs that are communicating nicely back and forth. I think another thing that we see a lot when dogs meet, and you mentioned this, and this kind of spurred some of this, was hackles. When dogs' hair stands up on their back. And my dogs, it definitely, you can see hackles, and hackles are over certain times, over-arousal. So they're overexcited. They don't always go up. Sometimes they don't. But on Doodles and
you
dogs,
can't see it.
They can't see it. And I was thinking about that because my dog's hair, they have a lot of hair and it's long, but you get a full on, like if they're up, you have
shape changes.
Yeah. And you get it on their neck and you can even get it on their butt. So working with a lot of different reactivity and things like that. It's interesting to see butt hackles or neck hackles. But on Doodles, I started thinking about that and was like, I don't know if I've ever seen hackles on a Doodle.
If you think with the curls.
Yeah.
And the loose, either it's really curly or it's loose and floppy, you just can't see the movement.
Well, I wonder, this is where I'm like, I want to get geeky and figure out like the difference also between hair and fur, because there's also some skin in there too, but I don't know enough about that to see, is it some of that play a role too, of just like the texture of the hair versus fur, the way it moves, things like that too.
If you see a really short cut, you can see the tension in the skin when you see the skin more, when it's a really short cut. And you'll notice when your dog, after they get a short cut, you'll notice a lot more cues than you could see when they have that teddy bear look. But if we think of lip curls, if they have a beard, like how much of a curl do you need to even if they're just doing a little curl of their lip to say, I don't like this, it's hard to see it. The tension in the muzzle, if they have a beard, you can't see. If somebody has a traditional doodle cut and the eyes are really buried in to these big brows and everything, even seeing whale eye, and that's the white around their eye, you have to be paying really close attention to being able to even catch that.
And seeing eyebrows. Where are their eyebrows?
Oh, yeah.
That too. So yeah, one of the doodles I'm working with, she'll probably listen to this, but always love talking about her because she sent me a picture recently and she's been grooming him and he stayed with me for a while and he's got a lot of fear and he looked adorable, but he couldn't see. His eyes, his cut was cute, but like his vision. So there we were losing that right off the bat. I can't see his eyes. He can't see very well. So I was like, okay, he needs to be kept short. So at least we can have that eye contact visual and see like that. But yeah, the doodles, there's a lot of hair there.
Yes.
That lays a difference than other breeds per se.
It does. And if you think about how sometimes those cuts are, it's almost like a horse's blinders when, they're driving a carriage or something. And if you're already feeling anxious and on guard and you're a little barky, then you don't even know when something's coming until it's right next to you. So a shorter cut might be appropriate for a dog like that.
Yep.
We recently had Karishma War from a Calm Canine Academy on, and they were sharing with their standard poodle who is prone to being really reactive after they gave them a really short haircut because they had trouble with grooming. They said, I didn't realize how many emotions you had. I couldn't see all of these.
That's same with Howie, it was just being hidden. And no, like I said, not on purpose. It's just, you don't realize it until you cut back and you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, that's something definitely to think about too. And when we talk about some breed differences is their coat, even tails are all different, right? We have curly tails, straight tails, dock tails, all no tails, things like that, different face shapes as well. When we talk about things like that, short dog nose versus long dog nose, sometimes there's a lot of discrepancy there. I hear it every once in a while that, hey, my dog has a really hard time with Frenchies or bulldogs. And that's not super uncommon. Yeah. Because if you look at 90% of dog breeds, they have a long snout, noses at the end, eyes are set back, things like that. And then here comes this Frenchie who's black, first off, right?
Yes.
And everything's just smushed together.
So for our Shih Tzu and like Havanese cross, they're not able to show the tension in the face the same way, right? What do you look for differently with them?
So I'm, again, learning to speak then that breed. We're going to look at, you said Shih Tzus, and what was the other one? Your
Havanese often have some of the flatter. It's not as flat as the Shih Tzus, but.
So another thing, but it's also hard, is looking at ears, but their ears too, depending on the groom, might be harder to read too.
Full flop,
Yep, the flip flop. But if there's a lot of fluff off of them, sometimes it's hard to see if they're back and forward, things like that. So I'm going to look at ears. I'm going to look at tail. I'm also going to look at just tension in their body and stance as well, more than just face stuff. But you can also look for whale eyes. Licking is a really easy thing to start paying attention to. Yawning is another one. So you're still going to get...
And those two shock people.
Yes, I know, right?
I thought they were tired or hungry, but actually they're more likely stressed.
It can be. That's the hard part, right? Like it can be a little bit of everything. And you will have them yawn when they're tired. But if you are out working in a stressful situation, you will see a yawn, the lip lick, even kissing. So if your dog likes to give you kisses, there are nervous kisses. And everyone's like, oh, my dog loves him. Like, no, there is 100% that is like a soothing tactic that they are nervous and uncomfortable. Those aren't endearing kisses.
I say this all the time, but because my kids love getting the kisses, I actually am not fond of being licked. It's a personal preference. And I'll say, no, that's a kiss off. Like this is a stressed kiss versus they are relaxed and enjoying their belly rub
And
or showing affection.
that is where I think the blanket of I understand body language to, oh, I'm actually missing a lot of body language is. I think people have a base, but then when you dig a little bit deeper, they're like, oh my gosh, I actually had no idea that those could mean that as well. And a little bit on this topic is I have a hard time. Being a dog trainer can be really hard when you go out into the world and you see everything. And I wish I wasn't good at reading body language sometimes. Like airports are really hard for me. Sometimes restaurants, sometimes dog parks, because I see so many stressed dogs. And I'm just like, is the owner doing it just because they want their dog with them? Things like that. And I have a hard time. That's a bigger topic as well about is it in the best benefit of the dog or not? But social media as well. Social media is very tough at times. There's a lot of dog body language on social media that goes viral, and it is very uncomfortable to watch. It is a very stressed out dog, a dog that's being put in a very uncomfortable situation, and it blows up. And people are,
It's cute.
Look how cute. Look how cute this dog's doing that. I posted one recently I think it was a poodle, a mini poodle.
Okay.
That was rolling over, so belly up, right? Looking like it's wanting belly rubs. And the owner's hand was teasing, I'm going to get you, like the teasing claw. I'm going to get you. I'm not going to get you. And everyone's like, oh, give her the belly rub. She wants belly rubs. But if you looked at the dog's body language, she was giving whale eyes, no blinking. Eyes were like open, and she couldn't not relax. She was licking her lips. Ears were back. Tail was tucked.
Oh, goodness.
And she even rolled over more, which was submissive. Like, please don't eat me. End this. And everybody was like, please give her belly rub. She's just begging for that.
Gosh. So if you watch two dogs play and one is scared or wants it to end, think of what they do. They roll on their back in that position. And we as humans are like,
yeah.
And it's looking at the context. I think it was Mel Gibson had a movie of what women want or what women think or something.
Yeah.
And you could hear the voices of women in their minds. And I almost think of once you're fluent, as you're describing this, I feel like you're the Mel Gibson in this scenario. And once you're fluent in dog body language, you can't stop hearing what the dogs are trying to say to you.
Yeah.
Or to whoever they're around. And it's impossible to ignore what they're saying once you know it.
And even, like I said, I think it's for sure a catch-22 is I'm glad I'm very fluent, but I've had some branding photo shoots done and all of my dogs speak differently, even though they're all very similar lines. They're just personalities even lead them to speaking a little bit differently. And Tikani, who has these beautiful eyes, she's the worst. She hates pictures and cameras and all of that. So even if you watch my social media, her body language, she hates the camera. She's fine. As soon as you put up that phone, her body language changes. And it's hard because I want to video her, but I know she doesn't like it.
And you can see the stress.
You can see the stress. And then Miara, my senior, has this beautiful smile, and there is a stress smile and there's a happy smile. Yeah. So even that, and it's hard to tell but I know her well enough. And so our last photos, now that she's a senior, she has a harder time, new environment. And so we did some photos and they're beautiful, but I see a stress smile on it. I'm like, Emily, just let it go.
I have the same experience. I'll see a kennel or daycare's pictures and people will be like, oh my God, look how happy they are. And I see that it's panting or a yawn, mid-yawn. Yeah. And the dog might have exercised, and that might be the reason for panting. But based on the other pictures,
I was going to say on the flip side.
Yeah.
And that is
anxiety instead.
It is hard from a picture because Tikani, sometimes the pictures she looks very stressed, but they're not always. It was, she was just out running and she's panting. Yes. So there is
and you see a
that
looseness. Yeah. It's different once you know the dog and stuff. You see the looseness. So if we were to go to that viral video, or you're trying to tell, does my dog like this? Consent testing is my go-to.
Yes.
Can you share a little how you use that and what that is? Enjoy learning more about how to read your Doodle's body language and what it means for reactivity and their communication with other dogs as well as us humans. Catch it on episode 40 of the Doodle Pro podcast. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Doodle Pro podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. And I invite you to follow me on Instagram at The Doodle Pro for behind the scenes peeks at all of the adorable doodles I work with daily.